Folks, the picture you see in front of you is a picture of Steve Bannon. And this fat tub of lard wife beater basically is calling the shots in the White House for the most part. It's a toss-up between him and the Russians as to which one is pulling Donald Trump's strings the hardest. Now, I say that because if you know anything about Steve Bannon and his worldview, you know that Steve Bannon believes that the United States should pull back from its interaction excuse me, in world affairs. He doesn't believe that the United States should express its national self-interest anywhere but at home. He doesn't believe that we should have a significant voice in what goes on, even though it affects us. Now, why do you say that? Well, I got 5 things that I thought of, and the most recent one being Donald Trump declaring that Jerusalem is the capital of Israel. Now, this has been long in contention between Israel and the Palestinian people. Jerusalem, as you well know if you are any type of a historian as far as the Bible's concerned, Jerusalem was always considered the traditional home for the Jewish people. There's no getting around that. But just as much as Jerusalem is considered the traditional home of the Jewish people, Jerusalem is also considered sacred by the Christian people, as well as the people of the Islamic faith. And there are all kinds of religious areas throughout the area that we call Jerusalem. Now, Jerusalem actually is made up of several parts, but in particular, West Jerusalem, which is claimed by the Jewish people, and you have East Jerusalem, which is claimed by the Muslims because of the holy relics and sites therein. Now, Donald Trump, by declaring Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, has now given the Jews carte blanche to, quote unquote, legally claim the entire city of Jerusalem, which includes East Jerusalem and West Jerusalem, even though the UN has issued various sanctions as far as the Jews actually claiming that city for the nation of Israel. But that particular act of the United States stating that Jerusalem is the capital of Israel and that it is moving its what's the name of the thing? Its embassy, there you go, embassy, to the city of Jerusalem, whereas no other nation in the world has an embassy in Jerusalem, basically is shots fired. Violence is already occurring in East Jerusalem. The Palestinians who actually live in West Jerusalem, and have businesses in West Jerusalem, shut their businesses down today and yesterday, going on strike against the actions of the United States. Now, what Donald Trump has done is that he has declared himself to be not an even broker. So as far as the United States trying to be a negotiator between the Jews and the Palestinians in order to try to come up with a peace agreement, that is out of the window. Now, Donald Trump has made several individuals happy. He's made Sheldon Adelson, a rich Jew who owns casinos in Las Vegas, made him very happy. He's made his buddy, Mike Pence, and the religious right, made them very happy. Obviously, he's made the people of Israel very happy. That's it. Everybody else is either slightly unhappy, very unhappy, or totally unhappy with what Donald Trump did. So Donald Trump has done what is damn near impossible. He's put the Iranians and the Saudis on the same side. And that, my friends, is no easy task. Now, getting away from the danger that Donald Trump has just placed every American citizen in the Middle East in, and again, I am not joking, the U.S. embassies throughout the Middle East have issued edicts for their people to stay on guard, and the embassy out of Israel has notified all U.S. Citizens that are within the country not to go into East Jerusalem or any of the other sites for fear of kidnapping or murder. There are 1.5 billion Muslims throughout the world, and obviously the lion's share of them are located in the Middle East. Mr. Trump has just put a target on everyone's back for, dare I say it, radical Islamic terrorists to go after anyone who even seems like they're an American at this point in time. So all the kidnappings, all the killings and murders going forward, in my opinion, can be laid squarely at his feet. But let's get away from Jerusalem. The United States had an unbreakable friendship relationship with the United Kingdom. Well, folks, that's out the window because Mr. Trump decided that he wanted to retweet a right-wing, and I mean a fanatical right-wing fascist group's tweets, and then had the nerve to double down on the fact that he did the facts and stating that they don't see the big picture. Well, hell, the big picture is not to give publicity to a fanatical right-wing group, which is exactly what Mr. Trump did. And now he is persona non grata in the city of London, and they are still trying to decide whether they are going to accept a state visit or even a working visit from Mr. Trump. And their parliament is debating like crazy about whether Donald Trump should be allowed to see the Queen. And my feeling is they're going to say no. So that's going to be a slap in the face. That relationship is damaged damn near beyond compare. But let's jump to the next relationship, which is beyond repair. Germany. The Chancellor, Prime Minister, Chancellor of Germany, Merkel, has gone on public record because of the disrespect to both herself personally and to the country of Germany altogether, that they are now going to go their own way, and they are not going to consider the United States in any action that they take, both domestically and internationally. So that relationship is down the tubes. Mr. Trump continues to poke at North Korea. Now, what kind of a jackass prods another jackass who now we know has a missile capable of delivering a nuclear payload to any city in our country. You keep poking and poking and poking, and this nut is just crazy enough to fire off one or two of them. But let's just say that instead of a missile, he loads a couple of those nuclear bombs onto a couple of ships, and whichever way he can get those ships to our shores without being detected, moves those nuclear bombs to Washington, New York, Los Angeles, Dallas, or Chicago. Because we know that North Korea has the ability to build at least 7 nuclear bombs. And I'm talking about the high-yield babies. Exactly what would that do to America? Number one, the death toll would be uncountable. The damage as far as America being a superpower able to defend itself would be out the window. And for what? Because we got a nut in the White House who doesn't know how to control himself as far as Twitter's concerned, and doesn't have a thought in the world. But again, that's Mr. Bannon's attitude. He doesn't believe that we should be calling any of the shots. He doesn't believe that we should have strong relationships with any of our foreign allies. This guy basically doesn't believe in government. He stated that he would love to tear down the American government, and Mr. Trump basically must have his ear glued to Mr. Bannon's ass, because every time Bannon farts, Trump does something ridiculous. Now, we already have 2 wars going. Now, well, you can call it 1, 2, whatever, 3, 4, whatever you want to call it, but we got troops all over the place in the Middle East and in Africa. Well, it's not enough that our service men and women are out there laying their lives on the line for what, quote unquote, is considered necessary. Mr. Trump is also obviously poking Iran, stating that he wants to walk away from the Iran nuclear agreement. And if that agreement breaks down, Iran will have a nuclear weapon within the next 12 months. So now you got 2 guys with nuclear weapons basically pointing at us. And Iran is also doing missile tests. So it doesn't get much worse than that, except for the fact that there's one country, even though they were ticked off about the Israeli situation with Jerusalem, that Donald Trump goes out of his way not to piss off. And obviously that country is Russia. I don't know what they got on this guy, but whatever it is, it's got to be awful damn good, because with all the provocation of Russia, especially with them teaming up with Syria to basically create a genocide for a lot of the Syrian people, and America basically standing by and basically not saying crap. Well, I take that back. They do say stuff, but they don't put their money where their mouths are. We're basically impotent as far as I'm concerned. Now, to show you how bad it's getting, recently the nation of Egypt has signed an agreement to allow a Russian aircraft, both commercial and military, to use Egyptian airfields to service their vehicles, their planes, their jets. That, together with the fact that the Saudis are starting to cozy up to the Russians, tells me all I need to know. Al Green put forth articles of impeachment in the House of Representatives a couple of days ago against the wishes of the Democratic leadership. But folks, he wasn't wrong. And unless something drastic is done quickly, our foreign policy is going to be shot to hell. Notwithstanding the fact that Mr. Tillerson has basically gutted our State Department so that there's not even the necessary personnel out there that can talk to other countries. Again, in my opinion, this is something that Mr. Bannon has his fingerprints all over. I'm not even going to get into all the crap that Trump's doing domestically to hurt American citizens. I'll just say that Puerto Rico is a national disgrace. And the reason that Puerto Rico is a national disgrace is because of the actions that we took both in Texas and in Florida when hurricanes hit. Texas and Florida are both back up to speed. No ifs, ands, or buts. But the same can't be said for Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. I wonder why, Mr. Bannon. Could it be that you don't consider Puerto Ricans and the citizens of the Virgin Islands American citizens? I wonder why that is. Except possibly because their skin hue is darker than yours. Anyway, just my thoughts. I'm not going to get into the fact that I was pissed off that Al Franken decided to step down. In my opinion, he should have stuck it out and fought, because I don't believe any of the women's subsequent to the first woman who came out, and she said that she accepted his apology and that she did not want him to resign. So for the 38 Democrats who decided to eat their own versus the Republicans who have gotten 4 behind a pedophile in Alabama, that tells me all I need to know about the Democratic Party. And it also tells you all you need to know about the Republican Party. We need a third party, folks. We need a party that's basically going to be out there to do the right thing. And damn the donors, damn the Adelsons and the Koch brothers and the rest of those guys, because when they walk into that voting booth, they're a single vote. And there are a whole hell of a lot more of us than there are of them. And we need to make that fact known in a dramatic way.